Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, and welcome to this 20-minute web briefing, Best Practices for Tech Content Success, brought to you by the Rubicon Agency. I'm Andrew Miller, co-founder and director of the Rubicon Agency, and I'll be your host today for this web briefing. Thanks for taking the time to explore this content, and I hope you find the insights useful in helping you seize control of your content programs. So before we start, let's take a quick look at what we're going to learn today. First, we'll take a look at the pre-flight checklist, the essentials for assessing your content. Now, rarely will you start an exercise like this with a green field, so before you go too far, it's important to understand the quality of what's currently in circulation. Then we'll take a look at the criteria, the methodology, and the scorecard for measuring content quality, and this is the nub of our M4 process. Now, M4 provides quality assessment and scoring to content above and beyond traditional binary and quantitative scoring methods used by today's marketer. Then we'll take a look at the alternative routes for assessment and explore the pros and cons of each route. We'll look at the content clinic, which is of particular interest to those looking to apply the discovery from the assessment to deliver truly killer content. And finally, we'll take a look at 3 success stories where leading tech brands have used the M4 assessment methodology and the content clinic to create truly powerful and influential programs. Now, this web briefing complements our previous guide, Killer or Filler, Assessing Content Success for Technology Marketers. And this guide outlines the component parts of content and explores what makes killer and what you need to do to avoid filler. Now, if you haven't seen this already, then you might want to go to therubiconagency.com and get your free copy there. So a quick intro to the Rubicon Agency before we progress. We're dedicated to tech, IT and telecom spaces. We're used to driving or dealing with disruption with all of our clients. Most organisations these days are on one side or the other. We have 10 core capabilities, and they include strengths such as thought leadership, market development, account-based marketing, sales enablement, and enterprise demand generation. We've worked across much of the tech landscape, including experience with leading tech brands such as Cisco, Oracle, Xerox, and AT&T. We're based in the UK, but we're used to driving global initiatives for most of our clients. And we've been working with tech businesses now for almost 20 years, so we've obviously addressed many of the content challenges that we're going to cover in this presentation in that time. And it's this background and experience that provides some fairly unique insights into what works and what doesn't in tech. So let's quickly recap on the key elements of killer or filler before we move on to the best practices. And apologies to those that are watching this web briefing shortly after digesting the guide. We established what we meant by content, because content comes in many shapes and forms and with many objectives, and we like to consider it as a spectrum of what we call the 8 E's: establish, educate, explore, entertain, explain, enable, evidence and evangelise. Now, the asset types appropriate for each E isn't quite as black and white as appears on this slide, but the point we're making is that the opportunities created by digital marketing today present a rich array of formats and consumption models. Now, this list is not exhaustive, but as more and more technologies and more platforms become mainstream, the more opportunities become available for the tech marketer. But with these opportunities, we also get some issues. Today's appetite for content creates some particular problems, especially for an industry like tech that's dependent on it. These content conundrums come in many forms and suffer many side effects. We've highlighted some of them here on this slide. Conundrums such as the vision vacuum, white papers, white noise, speeds not needs, the customer cul-de-sac, and emotionless automation, to name just a few. Now, we're not intending to spend any time exploring these in details today on this web briefing, but there are articles on each of them on our blog, The Tech Marketer, on therubiconagency.com. But these conundrums, if left unchecked, eventually impact the broader marketing agenda. They lose customer goodwill, they damage reputation, they throttle sales, and ultimately they waste marketing budget and marketing resources. So we need to do something about it. We need to adopt a number of killer content mindsets to ensure the quality, engaging and persuasive content continues across the whole of the sales and marketing pathway. And we cover these mindsets in detail in the original Killer or Filler guide. We also cover the things that typically instigate the need for an assessment, together with a course correction for content strategy. Now, these can range from top floor changes like new marketing leadership and a company repositioning, through to more evidential triggers such as underperforming assets and disengaged sales or disengaged channels. But whatever the trigger you need to have to review the situation, once the decision has been made to revisit the content estate and or the content strategy, you need to consider a pre-flight checklist to make sure you're best placed to undertake and benefit from this assessment. And over the following few slides, we'll explore some of those essentials in a little bit more detail. So first, you need to ask yourself a few questions about what's required. Do you have a robust and proven methodology? Do you have a skilled assessment team with the right insights, skills and neutrality for the assessment? Have you defined the scope? Are you looking at things through a company, a product, a solution or a hybrid perspective? And have you created or curated the underlying message structure for all assets? And this is critical for a successful content portfolio. And are you looking at things from the viewpoint of all key stakeholders? Product, the channel, the market guys. Are they all on the same page? Then you need to look at a few criteria about what's being assessed. Within the scope of what you're looking at, are you looking at the whole spectrum? The 8 E's we referred to earlier in this web briefing. Are you looking at the quality, the value and the power of influence? How effective is your top tier of strategic content, your opinion forming and agenda setting assets? And are you assessing the quality, the mojo, the magic, the energy? How do the assets relate to the buyer journey? And are you really empathetic to the care-abouts and aspirations of your audience? And are you considering or testing whether you're using the right content through the right channels? And what's your chosen method for measuring, scoring and reporting your results to peers and leaders? Finally, you should consider 3 steps you'll need to take immediately after the assessment. You'll need to create a vision of where you want to go. And from the findings in the assessment, you should put together an action plan of what's required, by when and from who. And lastly, does your team possess the leadership skills required for content excellence, whether it's direction, execution or evolution? Now, once you're confident you can or have addressed the essentials, then the next decision is what methodology to choose to do the assessment. Now, as we mentioned at the beginning of this web briefing, the Rubicon agency has a unique approach to this, built on almost 20 years of working with strategic content for tech marketing. And we call this approach M4. Now, M4 measures the agreed content against the 4 M's of message, looking at clarity and pitch, meaning, looking at relevance and audience value, mojo, looking at engagement and differentiation, and manifestation, looking at content structure and application. And we have a comprehensive scorecard of criteria for each of these 4 M's, and this is undertaken by a panel of 3 or 4 people. Now, the M4 content assessment has a unique and precision focus on measuring and ensuring content quality and consumption success, not download volumes, views, impressions, clicks, or binary data like this. It's applied to a range of content prisms where we look at the content from a company, a division, a solution, a product, a market, a channel, or a hybrid perspective. And it goes deeper into content to extract likely customer sentiment and test content success against the 8 E's we mentioned earlier. It scrutinises content to establish whether the customer will be sufficiently educated, enthused, or evangelical. And the results are reported in a dashboard or gauge style format similar to this looped animation on this slide here. The clients benefit from assessment through each of these content prisms, in addition to a consolidated overall score if multiple prisms are assessed. Now, we've had a quick tour of the M4 methodology, one that's been proven with our tech clients for a number of years now. But whichever methodology you decide on, the shortlist for Content Assessor is likely to come from this list of 4 options. That list is likely to consider of the following candidates: DIY, PR agency, social agency, or marketing agency, preferably a tech specialist that's fully conversant with the challenges of our industry. Now, there's pros and cons with all routes, so let's have a quick look at the main considerations. DIY requires no additional budget. but it puts pressure on existing resources who may not be adequately equipped or have the right level of neutrality. PR agency provides an independent perspective, but is limited to the journalistic capabilities of the PR agency. The social agency provides a similar independent perspective, but is possibly restricted by short-form needs of social-centric content and conversations. The tech marketing agency has a specialist perspective and probably has some proven messaging and positioning skills and probably some tested methodologies. Your biggest challenge is finding the right partner. So obviously you've got some important phases at the beginning of this project: completing the essentials checklist, agreeing on the assessment methodology, and selecting the content assessor. And all of these are important tasks and ones you can't avoid if you're looking to do a professional job of assessing your content. However, from our perspective, we found that blending this with a more holistic approach to the project is beneficial, especially if you want the results of the assessment to have an enduring and strategic value to new content. So to deliver influential and behaviour changing content that's informed by the results of the M4 content assessment, we found that organisations benefit from the additional rigour, innovation and structure of the M4 Content Clinic. Now, the M4 Content Clinic looks to provide a vision, a marketing compass to all corporate content, establishing the right tone, establishing the right level of pitch, the appropriate quality and production values, and the right strategic direction for future content, all of which are crucial to the results of the assessment if you're looking for enduring value and contribution moving forward. And over the following couple of slides, we'll attempt to summarise the steps you might need to take. The first step is to establish the right tone. Now, most clients are either responding to or driving disruptive innovation. And the 3 degrees of disruption is our view on the disruptive innovation landscape. And we map our clients onto the 3 degrees as either market makers, the more conservative disruptors on the left, tech transformers, the more progressive disruptors in the middle, or social shapers, the really game-changing disruptive disruptors on the right. And this guides our attitude, our voice, and the positioning we use now and progressively in the future. Then we establish the right level of pitch on the message elevator, and this guides our language, our persuasive arguments, and the environmental context that we use. And this is particularly valuable if there's a combination of technical, line of business and or executive decision makers who are going to be exposed to your content. Now, these 2 additional exercises, when combined with the score from the M4 assessment, provide a rich, informed platform for developing your content strategy. They provide the basis for developing a structured, scalable and integrated plan that can be shared with all key content owners. And it starts to guide content, whether net new, whether it should be retired, or whether it should be upcycled. And this is the purpose of the latter stages of the Content Clinic, developing the right approach and direction for the team. And this guides the client, it guides us as an agency, and it guides other agencies in what's needed to achieve our aspirations. We provide an action plan to identify fix, retirement and creation assets. We provide guidance and propose direction on all content that requires some evolution and or direction. And finally, we produce a short-form content strategy to socialise and achieve consensus on the way forward. And that's it. The Content Clinic takes the results of the M4 assessment and augments them with additional insights, experiences and guidance to provide a game plan for content that's all killer and no filler. So let's quickly recap on what we've explored over the last 15 minutes. First, you need to get ready for content success by doing the essentials checklist. Then you need to get set by choosing a methodology that puts the right focus and the right emphasis on content quality and coverage. Then you need to go assess that you're using the right partner with the right insights, experiences and perspectives. Finally, you need to go strategic with the Content Clinic if you're looking for enduring and ongoing value for your corporate content. Now, we've used this approach on many leading tech brands over the years, including Cisco, Oracle and AT&T. For Cisco, we've completed a program that drives new behaviours and mindsets within the business, strategic partners and customers, where previous content was proven to be influencing the wrong behaviours. And for Oracle, we've brought together multiple point solutions into an umbrella proposition for a key vertical market, where existing suites of content clashed and fought one another in full view of prospects and customers. And for AT&T, a sales to customer and sales enablement program that sets new standards for success, where previous content had very limited impact on mobilising sellers and driving conversations. We'd be happy to walk through these and other success stories in greater detail with anyone interested in M4. So please contact us at info@therubiconagency.com if you're looking to explore M4 further, or if you want a deeper dive into those success stories. Alternatively, give us a call or a mention on Twitter. And that's the end of this web briefing, Best Practices for Tech Content Success. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you found the experiences and concepts of interest and value back into your organisations. So thank you from all of us at the Rubicon Agency, and bye for now.